Hello and welcome to Sim Strategy Gaming. I'm Sim. This episode will be about the 12th scenario of Railway Empire 2 across Germany. This level has hard mission objectives, but a very nice big map with lots of cities close together and resources to make them grow. Looking at our mission objectives, we see that first of all we will have to grow Berlin and then connect Berlin to this not only Hamburg but Hamburg, Berlin, Danzig, and then also make a connection, an express connection between Berlin, Hanover, Cologne. But we will start out as usual by building a circle here. Can only afford one lane, so it goes around like this, and then two little tentacles from it. Only one lane because there's just one city down here and money are sort of scarce. So that's just one train on this line, but several trains on this circular one-liner, and then a two-liner going up here because there are two cities, both Bremen, Hanover, and Magdeburg. We found ourselves very early in the game. We only first have access to the Rhine. Later on, we might upgrade to the Le Continent, but only when we have proper express lanes. They cannot be put together, these two.
Unfortunately, there is still a great deal of apprehension among the population as far as the railroads are concerned. The newspapers regularly criticize them as dirty and too noisy. Can you imagine that? Luddites, all of them, if you ask me. So I'm particularly pleased that our efforts are helping to increase confidence, especially among ordinary people. With this success, the railroad has now arrived in German lands. It has been proven that it is not just an English fad, but that it is also able to add value to the mainland. Many a load of goods will be transported via this east-west connection. Our next step will be to move south. Beware. Unlike until now, we are not completely without competition there. The Saxon-Bavarian State Railroad is a failed private company that has recently been nationalized. It doesn't have much capital, but it maintains a solid connection to Munich. We should try and outcompete it. Our network is growing and thriving. It is important that we not only pay attention to the big-name cities in our efforts, but also promote growth across the board.
So then we made for the first set of mission objectives and have moved on southwards. But first let's have a look. The first mission objective to build the Hamburg, Berlin, Danzig connection through Köslin, Stettin and Schwerin. And sort of build this all the way up north. And of course that can not be a circle, but then to have circles connected underneath it and then make for this extra. We can recognize this first circle that we had here and then built upon one eastward going here from Zielona Góra to Danzig, and then one little up here, Bremen, Magdeburg, and then an Hanover Castle circle, including Gütersloh. And then to have this mission objective up here and completing the mission objective, but also serving a proper purpose, connecting this lumber resource and also making for a better connection up here. So trying to integrate these mission objectives, our investors' desires, into a proper money-making machine, which is approaching 1 million a week. And then this other mission objective, Cologne, Gütersloh, Hanover, and down to Berlin, also being easily achieved, and to have a express line here. Could make that with just simply mixed trains carrying mixed transportation. Further at our mission objectives, we can see that we have to connect this eastern region before we move southwards, actually. Growing our cities comes on very nicely. But then also we will have to connect this Berlin, Dresden, Munich, and to buy half of the shares. But say first, this will come on nicely. But a comment then on on how to achieve this with our competitors and such. If you buy 50% of the shares, we will strengthen her company by giving her the money, and then maybe she will build something more and make for a mess. But one can see now that we're making so much money that we can almost buy 50, and if I just waited a bit, we could buy all of it, and then we would be able to merge her and just have her disappear. And then to see that that might be actually easier than to try to build something on top of her. Now, 2 years into the game, we have been able to complete the first set of the first mission objective of the second set, the line connecting Königsberg, Katowice to Posen, and going all the way here and to conclude this new giant circle, which is sort of way too big in many ways, so that we need to have an extra connection here. One can see this long line going around all the way here. It leaves for that Lodz, for example, is not connected to Bromberg, and there are several resources in the middle as well that are excluded from this circular path, which sort of, when one builds a circle, it has to be more or less circle-like. It's a little awkward here. It goes down to Katowice because it has to, but then one must make an extra connection, Breslau-Lodz here. Then one can bring it up further to Bromberg. And to have this extra connection in the middle is not such a dumb thing. But what is happening now, if we turn on the train usage, is that we are completely overloaded. The entire system is failing. We are it's not failing, it's actually succeeding too well. We are really growing our cities, more and more passengers, and more goods are being demanded and supplied, and we are not able to bring all of this on. Our mission objectives now would be to buy up half of Madame Ward, and then to move down south into this region. And we have enough money for that, so we can build down there. And probably that would bring us more mission points. But still now, I mean, the natural thing to do would be to expand our capacity in the region that we already included, and make perhaps some adjustments, but most of all just try to fill up all of these stations that have room for 8 lines that have now only 2, and then to make 2 come in from one direction and 2 from another direction, and then to have both mixed trains, or perhaps freight trains even, if one wants to be absolutely certain of city growth, and then to have passenger lines on the other. So then, only a week later, with the money that we had, we have doubled our capacity, and we will soon move up to be having a lot more income, perhaps up to 3 million a week. Haven't really moved on our mission objectives, but and rather actually removed some of the mission objectives, like this line going here, the Cologne Gütersloh Berlin, has been removed, or rather replaced by a new circle, a little Cologne circle here, adding upon this already existing Hanover-Kassel circle. And this line here, instead of having that line going on top of these circles, try to make a new, kind of an awkward circle here, Berlin set in Schwerin, and to have Schwerin placed in this vertical, say, direction, and make for this enormously long gridiron here, but also a hotel connection here at Kastner that takes off a lot of the passengers going back and forth. And remember now that the less passengers that they have here, the shorter time they will take to process the wagons, and the faster this will be. So it's not only served to shorten the distance, but also to take off some load from a station that might be extra busy, or at least a connection that might be extra busy because of this long gridiron. Perhaps a quick look at the flow of goods to have oversight of how things are working with these circles now. And then it would be a good thing perhaps to try to move the goods around the edges, and then rather to have the passengers move inside of the systems. Passengers pay more for shorter duration travels, while goods are the same. Goods are a fixed price.
A first connection from Berlin to Munich has been established. With this, we have connected all four corners of the German Confederation. I am pleased to pass a word of praise from our sponsors on to you. They are very excited about our progress and can't wait for us to move on to the next stage. The more people use our train lines, the more capital we can generate. Our daily revenues exceed the projections of our backers. Congratulations! The final step will be to consolidate the network within the German Confederation. We are to penetrate regions that have been neglected so far and connect the German patchwork of states with the strong glue that a transportation network provides.
So then we made for this connection from Berlin to Dresden, and also further expanded that into becoming this network inside of a circle. There was a lot of traffic here, so that's it's good for this to have a little bit extra. But then just to make this mission objective line, this isn't really profitable to make them for this long hauls. They should have something in between. Perhaps Nuremberg can be included. But then I really, really wanted just to make the mission objective, and to be absolutely certain that I could make this into an express. No problem with the Königsberg-Katowice connection, because that's just transporting some wagons. But these express lines, often I would try to make them become a part of the system in some way, but that's often kind of hard to be thinking about everything. And then in the end, one might realize that one is not achieving the objective, and then you lose out of a lot of extra points, and that is a little sour when I've made something really nice. When it comes to buying up these competitors, or rather competing with them, we now have the mission objective to buy them all. And then, first of all, one notices that I bought the entire of Madame Ward's company. Much easier to just do it like this, and then I got kind of a lot of money back. One can see now when we buy, we have enough for buying our second competitor, and we could of course have competed with him somehow, just kind of built rails in the same cities, trying to make them smoother, trying to steal some of his passengers, trying to make him lose money. But often we would contribute to the growth of his cities, and then he would make more money and we would make more money, and then in the end it would be a question of who makes the most money. But perhaps it would be easier to just buy him up right away. 11 million, we got that. So
it has already started to happen, but our network is now completely unchallenged. Really impressive.
And then one can just merge it like this. We've spent 12 million on him, and he got 1 million in cash. And if we liquidate everything, that is 3 million, and then we got almost the same amount of money back, a couple of millions, and then it will be much easier now to build something here, much cheaper, and then also we're going to build for a better system later on. Remove this long line here and build something really nice and proper down here later. Well, first of all, go for the mission objectives. And now, with the money that we had rolling in and from merging with our competitor, we've been able to build pretty much everything that we need in order to achieve the mission objectives. Just keeping our northern zones making money for us, not disturbing them, and then make sure that we can complete all of this. The millions citizens, they're already well connected, there were no problem. And then to make this line from Zurich, Munich, Prague, the balance was no problem. And then Munich, Frankfurt, Hamburg. And we started out with buying up all our competitors so that they wouldn't be in the way. And then also an extra objective here, Zurich Graz. And then these connection statuses that will also come in very nicely. Unfortunately, I sort of neglected upon Grotterslå, which only needed this extra little line here from Bremen in order to ensure growth all the time. But actually, the Gütersloh had been depraved of corn for a long time, so then it sort of lagged behind a bit there. But it's now growing very nicely and will come on soon. But I don't think we will have time to complete that optional task, because now we have built this super express line here from Graz, Salzburg, Zurich, and then also from Zurich, Ulm, Munich, Pilsen, Prague. Just moved the first line over here and then cut this line off here, so that this is now only a little spider web system inside of the circle. And as with this, could have made more of this, could have made an extra one here, and we could have made the other circles are so small that they don't need it. Perhaps better to build smaller zones, smaller circles, and rather have them communicating in between circles that don't need anything else. But it would depend a little bit. Make for this little extra connection line. If we're going to develop these southern regions, we're going to need a lot of these extra little lines like this. Might not really be so little. We can expand this into a full 8 lane, and then to have a lot of traffic not only going through between these two cities, but going between all of these cities in the entire northern zone down to the southern zone. We can also make for a new extra connection here and here between the mountains on all sides. But then at least one can see that this achieves the mission objectives. It doesn't really look all that good, I think. But then I sort of feel that I got burned a couple of times trying to make something good and proper and that really makes money with the mission objectives. It might actually be a better strategy for both purposes, both making points and making making money, to focus on the mission objectives when one is focusing on them, and then rather remove or delete or do something about it in order to make money later. And we see now that we are making an enormous amount of money, but still the trains are going red, and when we are overloading our capacity now with all of the cities pretty much growing and becoming really big now and really demanding in many ways. One thing to point out now there is that we now have this express line going all the way from Munich up to Worms, Frankfurt, Kassel, Hanover, Hamburg, all the way like this. And same with the Zurich Graz line. If we do something to that line, and I want to do something, then one must be very careful that that train that is on this way to achieving the express bonus is not disturbed in any which way and has to redeploy it or something. One has to be careful about that, and we will be careful about it as we develop this region now, awaiting our mission objectives. We see that we have quite a bit of money and develop all of this region and try not to disturb anything, so that we will achieve both the mission objectives and also having a super properly developed zone.
The speed of our trains is uncontested. There is no faster way to get from one end of the German Confederation to the other. Just look at how the country has changed in this short time frame. The German states are more interconnected than they have ever been, and the economy is thriving. I'm sure this area is looking towards a rosy future.
Well, then we made it, almost all of it at least. Still have yet to build a university in Grotterslån, but in only 2.7 years, this is actually quite nice, I think. So let's see how we did this. We're able to complete all our mission objectives, like this, but also then to make for this properly built night solutions there, and then to have good money coming in, and to have a proper system all over. can go through it and have a look at the flow of goods and see how things are moving. Very important with this circular strategy that one can see that one have built all these zones down here, built for, let's say, with this new Prague, Pilsen, Budweis, Vienna zone. And then I kept this long line going down here, Salzburg, Graz, Zurich, and then how to really connect this when you sort of come to the edge of the map. And then one made for an extra circle in between here, the Budweis, Lodz, Vienna circle, but then it had to be sort of connected to Salzburg through an extra little line like this, and then going up to further on to Munich. And down here there will be, instead of trying desperately to connect to these resources on the main line, built for these little paths that go down to the warehouses here, and then this would be sort of a stop for both fruit and lumber. Same down here with Zurich. Have a look at the flow here. Some of these lines are a bit long, perhaps. One can always do things to make this even better. Make for this little kind of little awkward shaped circle around here with Nuremberg in between, and there were some mountains that I had to follow, but all the way up to Pilsen, Munich, Ulm, and then Nuremberg. But then to have Nuremberg, Ulm, Munich not too far away from each other. Important always to check on this if they are actually able to reach all of each other. Might often be some of the closest cities, and the closest cities are the most valuable. They have more people want to travel to the close destinations than to the further on, and then make sure that everybody is connected. And with these big circles, it might not be so easy. So then one might include an extra circle in between. And then I try to keep on many of these mission objective lines, and they were sort of determine how I were to build. Perhaps not the way that I desired the most, but still it would be nice to have them included, I think. Then one can either go from city to city like this and have a look, or one can take the different resources and see that this milk resource now is governing the northern eastern parts of the map, and that this resource over here is governing the central portion of the map, north central portion. We have way too little of all of these industrial goods. We haven't really gotten into industrialization yet. There were way too many cities to connect to and mission objectives to achieve, and we have really made for a rapid expansion. Wasn't any emphasis on building industry on this level, so that we have neglected upon that. But now we have so much money that we can pretty much buy up whatever we desire. Let's have a quick look at the trains. This is and there comes some warning triangles. Always things that one have forgotten. This white yes will be the signaling, and now this error will disappear soon. And then there are all these breakdowns here. I wonder what that is about. Now here is that bug again. This one is going to Kasmarek, and that is all the way down here. How is that even possible? I don't know. One can do the easy trick. I often just do that. You can delete the entire rail, of course, but then to move it into a different locomotive and then back and forth, and then just hope that it will update and become nice some way. It's a good thing that we have all these warnings, so that there shouldn't be a need for a yes, one can see I've forgotten about this. I upgraded the system to be a longer path, but now there is one. Just used to be one train going from the wool resource into the city, and that has sort of been left behind. And then there wasn't any supply depots on that little line, because often I don't place the supply depots on the smallest lines, because then I'm afraid that they might get too close if there are really long trains. This would be okay to have one there, but then they don't need to be on every line, so I place them on the little longer lines. Wheat should always be kept local. Not too many warehouses transports wheat. There is one here, but that more like picks up wheat. One can see now that what is happening here. Is this any zigzagging? Is this a bad thing? Well, then might one have go over to the wheat source direct and see now this is actually going into the city here. This is a bad thing. This had to go. There cannot be wheat down there, but perhaps there. So that now this wheat is not affected by the warehouse, but for the warehouse in Dresden city. But this one is on the other warehouse. So this one is actually functioning, and I think I'd rather keep it like that. Have a look at this warehouse in particular. This is actually overflowing. You can see here way too much lumber, and there isn't any problem with the lumber. I think this shouldn't run any conflicting warehouses. It's not coming from several places, so then there is something that make for this not to be picked up to little capacity. One might see, but the capacity is becoming better. It is a little mystery with these warehouses, but to be utilizing them properly is in many ways the key to success, I think, and to make for this separate systems. They can be circles, they can be other systems. I prefer the circles, but then build some systems and then look at what the resources are within that system, or what are they self-contained with. What do they need to export, and what do they need to import from other systems? Well, then I guess that pretty much sums it all up. One can feel free to like and subscribe, leave some comments, and then I hope to see you next time, and goodbye.